Ancient Aliens is a true Doom classic. 32 maps of galaxy-spanning action by celebrated mapper Skillsaw. But one map did something so cool, it changed the way I thought about Doom maps forever. This is map 16, Leave Your Soul Behind. This isn't the craziest map in Ancient Aliens. Hell, it's not even the biggest, the most visually distinct, or even the most difficult, but it's extremely memorable. Funnily enough, without even realizing it, I had chosen map number 36 from the top 100 most memorable maps list. But how could I argue it's the most memorable when it's not even the highest ranked of the 3 Ancient Aliens maps on there? Well, I'll show you. When we start off, things don't look so unusual for the second episode of Ancient Aliens up to this point. We already stole a flying saucer and made it to the alien installations, so you have the usual colorful palette of cyans, pinks, purples, and neon wireframe accents. We see our Earth and Moon in the distance, at least for now, but our goal is to get to this flying saucer. We're also accompanied by a nice space jiggle. That means the Rollicking MIDI by Stuart Ryan that will propel us through our adventure. And we have a bit of a situation on our hands right off the bat. I'm not saying it's aliens, but they're aliens. This isn't the first time they show up, but I like these guys. Like, I'm kind of amused that you can see them quite plainly before they wake up. Thankfully, these aliens haven't quite figured it out, and you can kind of see their outlines pretty clearly, but they are a nice addition to the enemy roster, being a small, squishy opponent with plasma instead of hit-scan weapons. Which brings us to the first cool feature of this map, a circular wireframe platform. It looks cool, but it's also memorable because it's also the central part of the progression in this part of the level. You have to hit these switches around here to raise it up each time, which is a neat piece of progression. Watch out as the first enemies stream in, and notice that the lack of ammo means you need to main the rocket launcher for a little while. Having only a rocket launcher is always a fun little challenge because you have huge offensive upside with a high downside, namely splash damage. And especially when navigating a donut-shaped hallway like this, spewing out explosions everywhere, it can be tricky business, but it's satisfying as hell when you blow up everything along the way. And finally, we can start to meander off the donut into some spokes, moving up onto the ledges. And speaking of satisfying but tricky rocket combat, paint elementals are perhaps the most dangerous and thus the most rewarding. Try to sidestep them so they don't launch a face rocket craving lost soul into your craw. Once you hit the first switch and raise our neon donut to the first level, you gotta remember that the scariest part of the donut is the hole because another Ancient Aliens special emerges from its darkest depths. Flying alien heads are pretty scary glass cannons in this, as they do go down in a single SSG blast but can swarm you with Revenant rockets before you know it hit you. You gotta give them your utmost attention. After breaking up a Revenant party, we received the plasma rifle to complement our rocket launcher, a rather generous early gift. It might be useful though. Don't forget to say hi to the shy Revenant in the corner. Or maybe he was guarding this switch. Either way, once again, this is all about raising bridges, another cool neon pathway through space. Time for another obvious ambush, but with a not so obvious two-way pincer movement with a couple of noxious sniping spiders. Skillsaw is pretty good at blasting you from all different angles with different threats that are pretty fun to unravel and solve. And that soul sphere looks pretty tasty, right? I think I may have just stolen an alien's lunch, but it's not too bad getting away. And with that I can cram my hand into this 3-fingered alien button and return to the neon space donut, and finally, we've reached our ticket out of here. So far, this is a fine level, but not exactly the greatest Ancient Aliens has to offer. But you didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you? You know, for a second there? Yeah, I kinda did. Alright, it's time to blast off. We have this baby all to ourselves. She has a top speed of about 80 light years per hour. Time to dial it up to ludicrous speed and blast the hell out of here. And so this was the first part that really left an impression on me. It looks like we've arrived at a rather snowy planet, and we can beam down to check it out. Yeah, all of this is obviously done with smoke and mirrors. In fact, you can see that on the auto map, but here we are on an entirely new planet with a new visual design, and it's something that I don't really expect to be in a single Doom map. Like, in other WODs you might go from one planet to the next on each map, but not in the same one, and it's all seamless with no loading screens. You see that planet? You can go there. Okay, but as I was saying, we found ourselves on a snowy planet, and it's funny, these walls don't seem to be a natural formation. Someone built it. Maybe it was the aliens. It's remarkable how similar their brick stacking technology is to ours. And of course, we've traveled across the galaxy, but we've got some of the same old aliens trying to ruin our day. Thankfully, at this point, you have quite a supply of artillery from your last destination, and it helps a lot in exploring this new alien world. Now, I'm not going to say the visual design of this planet is amazing or anything. To be honest, it sort of reminds me of a Christmas water in a few areas. Nor are the encounters all that special, but it's a different planet with a starkly different design, and for me the contrast is what makes it memorable. Of course, don't forget to activate the only secret of this entire map with a fairly obvious switch that lets out a nasty surprise. Once we grab the blue key, it's back to our ride to blast off again. Why do we have to find the key to our spaceship on a random alien planet? I'm thinking maybe Doom Guy scrolled through the alien GPS for previous locations. Or maybe you shouldn't complain about the logic of a Doom level, okay? There's keys, there's switches, you know, no further questions, please. So you squeeze your 5 fingers into that 3-fingered switch, and speaking of contrast, now for the fire planet. Yeah, so it's a kind of obvious mix of themes, but again, it's about stark contrast. The neon pastel land to snow to fire, and especially playing through this blind, not knowing what's coming, it's really cool. And I'll say, especially here, the combat actually gets a lot more interesting than on the ice level. You see, just like what you played as a kid, the floor is lava, and we only have some thin volcanic rock paths to escape it. Thankfully, rad suits appear to be indigenous to this area and will help us out, coating this fiery red planet in a rather green sheen for the majority of our time here. The combat gets really interesting once we hit the switch and all the rock disappears, leaving us with only our wits and our rad suits to grab the key and get out of here. We're on a timer, and you only have a few rad suits tucked away to help you out. Practically only enough time to kill everything and get out. It's this pressure to evade and kill the enemy, juggle your rad suit timers, and find all the rockets nestled away, which makes this, personally, my favorite combat area in the entire level. Oh, and mind the Archvile, who does rather well in fiery environments like these. The fresh planet theme, the excitement and danger, for me it all adds up to the peak of the whole level for me. Except for the part where I had trouble finding the door. There's a lot of red ones. And now it's time to reach our endpoint, the climax, our final destination. It looks like some sort of dwarf star, a sun that's gone supernova and is now concentrated into a furious ball of energy and gravitation. Who knows how the aliens survive out here, but we're about to beam down to their planet for the final fight. We've arrived on the fringes of known space, a planet covered in purple canyons and pink slime. And this is the other thing about this level. Not only is it a transition in the map, but this marks the transition of the entire episode from high-tech silvery alien constructs to this more primitive cavernous planet. Perhaps this is their home planet? In a level of transitions and contrasts, this also marked the level in my mind as the fulcrum on which the episode hinges. Oh, and did you miss the plasma gun before? Cause here's another one, cause it's about to get messy. You've been teleported into the center of a killing zone with 4 cyberdemon peep shows through windows and a whole lot of angry aliens through every door. Thankfully, we have the powers invested in us from the first map of the WAD, the ability to teleport and go Power Ranger on everyone's asses. Squeeze by, take a breath and jump in, it's gonna feel weird.
Blue Wolf! Ninja Sword! Power up!
Howling Wolf. Charging Buffalo. Screaming Eagle. The level helpfully lets you know which teleport you've entered by locking them off, so keep on the move and finish them off. Giant Bear. It must feel pretty weird to go through the spirit animal tunnel and telefrag a huge hulking bulk of machine and meat, but it's honestly something I'd like to personally experience at least once in my life. Unfortunately, this is probably as close as I'm gonna get, for now. Look for the bloody pile of meat and hooves to find your way to the end of our journey. It's been a long one, but take a load off. We just traveled for God knows how long and blasted the hell out of aliens in 4 different corners of the universe. Rest easy, Doom Guy. And at this point, I really think it was aliens. I think the only unsatisfying part was these two guys trapped in a teleport closet hell that I couldn't get out. But don't worry, they're the lucky ones. I'll get them next time. This has been my deep dive into Map 16, Leave Your Soul Behind. I hope you see why this level is so special to me, and I hope you can experience it too. It's not too often I can say that a Doom level accomplishes something crazy like this that you might only expect in a modern game and a modern engine. But in its own scrappy way, Skillsaw gets it done in a fashion that still tricks my mind, however briefly, into thinking that I've just traveled the universe. And that's a hell of a thing to accomplish in a game from 1994.